Instead of saying, you said that, oh, it's because of single moms. Well, if the fathers, why can't the children stay with their fathers? Yeah, there are some women
because of the
that
courts,
that's
laws.
true. I get
And
that,
I
but
and I'm
there are situations where there are women that are willing to have those mediations in court and say, "Hey, how do you want this visitation to go?" But if you don't show up to court, I'm not saying that's like that for everybody. But if we say that there's a percentage of women that practice parental alienation, we can also add that there are parents, period, not always just men, but even mothers. It's rare, but a parent that just decides to suspend their parental obligation to their children.
that you're talking about a minority. What you're talking about is minority. We're talking about the majority. The majority is that the men are stripped away from their rights because the women want to go to the courts, where the courts, literally, I'm looking on the site right now, it says, how much custody time does dad get in your state? There's literally only 16 states out of 50 that lean more towards dads getting custody or more time with their child.
Which
How
states
is
are
it
those?
that there's only 16
That ain't
states
mine.
out of 50 that lean more towards the dad and all of the rest do not?
It
That
ain't
is
Georgia.
why we're talking about the
It ain't New York.
majority. Majority rules
That ain't
over
VA.
anything else,
You
period.
feel me?
You can't argue with the majority. Like, you're talking about a very, very, very small portion where the man is like not able, or he's like, oh no, I just don't want anything to do with it. Nine
Well,
times out of 10, the woman is very bitter, though he cannot deal with the woman. The
Hey,
woman does not know how to
Maya is
communicate.
100% right.
Nine,
hey,
a lot of the times, the woman does not know how to properly manage her emotions, does not know how to not be triggered by things, does not know how to not
100%.
control the what happens with the man and the child. A lot of times the women are wanting supervised visitation with the
mhm,
father. And that is
yeah,
absolutely crazy. It's too much control. It's too much wanting to have their hand in things. Men don't want to deal with that. So when
mhm.
women go that route, that's why the men pull back. And that's why the men say, you know what, I'll go ahead and sign over my rights because this is crazy. Women want too much pull. That's it.
Yep.
I see it
So
time and time
Can we
again.
stop saying,
If
okay,
I
I know.
literally know
Can
somebody
we
who
stop, please? Hold on.
Let
Can
Daily
we
go.
please?
Wait,
no,
Nikki,
I think
let Daily go.
that's a percentage of people that actually have these issues in court, or how else would they get this data? Everybody doesn't go to court. Women don't always take the father to court for child support or for custody, and men don't always petition the courts or at all, or anything like that. I did not say that that was the majority. I didn't say what it was representing. I'm saying that we can acknowledge both sides. I just sat here and said that I know that there are women that weaponize the courts and keep the father away, but we can absolutely hold all people accountable when we abandon our children, when you know you have a parental responsibility to raise your children. This isn't about damn numbers. It's about respect and being a damn adult and a parent and giving the children the life that they deserve, whether you wanted them or not. Period.
Sound good.
First of all, Darlene, you talk too much. Number one. Number two, the numbers absolutely matter. The numbers are majority of the time women are given the custody of the kids. And guess what? The father who's required to pay child support is literally put on visitation plans. Like, how are you going to tell me when and how to see and where to see my kids? I mean, you want me to pay for the kids, right? But you're also going to police how I see my own kids? So clearly she doesn't, obviously she's a single mom. I think so. So I guess, and she's a feminist, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised. But this goes to show you that they don't care about men's struggles. This is why some men are refusing to have kids anymore. Because why should a man have to fight to see his own kids? Why? She's literally saying men who don't go to who don't show up to court. Why should I have to fight in the first place to see my own kids? Because the minority of men she's talking about, the ones who don't even want to see the kids, are the ones who didn't want the kids in the first place, are the same men who told women when they got pregnant, I don't want kids, don't keep the baby. And she's like, no, I'm going to keep the baby because she thought the guy, it would make the guy want to be with her.
Where's the Sound accountability good. the other All way these hopes around and though? dreams and all
No,
this stuff,
listen,
but
I got the
reality
numbers
is
right
reality.
here. I got the numbers right here, Black TV. She said we don't have the numbers. Data indicates that mothers are the primary plaintiffs in 72.28% of cases, while fathers may be less likely to initiate custody battles. When they do, their cases may be more strongly supported by the court. So in these child custody cases, mothers initiate legal proceedings as plaintiffs more frequently than fathers. I'm sorry, like I said, these women are bringing these men to the courts to try to get the custody, to try to separate the man from being the father that he needs to be. And then whenever the court comes in, the court is leaning towards the women in majority of these states. So when these men say, I don't want to deal with it because the woman is unbearable, she is literally just hard to deal with, hard to talk to, hard to communicate. These are the numbers. Because the women want to go ahead and find some kind of control. 72.28% of these cases, these women want control. Men don't need to be controlled. You need to learn how to share. You need to learn how to be cooperative.
I'm not denying the numbers.
Gotta have one mic. We gotta have one mic, please.
All right, so if you're not denying the numbers, why don't you take accountability? Why don't you hold the women, the single moms, accountable, the ones who refuse fathers to see their kids? Or let me guess, because you're feminist. Or let me guess, because maybe you might have some single mother friends who, you know, will get their feelings hurt. Or maybe you're a single mom yourself. Or maybe because you believe that it's okay for single moms to use kids against men.
I was denying. Those are people that actually have court documents. That's the data that they're pulling it from people that actually are taking proof.
Correct, so and it's 72%. That's a big number, Daylin. Acting like it's some small numbers.
Or for people that go to court.
That's a lot of people.
I know that for the people that go, if you have 100 people that have this issue, and 70% of the women go to court and have this issue, I get that that's majority of the number. I'm not denying that it's more women that are favored in court when it comes to custody battles. I am saying that if we're going to talk about, it's single mothers that are the reason why children grow up the way that they do, to what Black TV said way before we got deep into this, I brought up, well, how about the fathers that most of us, we can say we know that's a brother, a teammate, a cousin, somebody that we know was just a straight up deadbeat. So why can't we just hold that part accountable instead of talking about majority and minority?
Because that's not true. Like, quit painting this narrative daily about them abandoning. Quit using that word abandonment. Why do you keep using that word? They abandoning their kids. Y'all use that word all the time. The fact of the matter is, most men are not abandoning their children.
Facts.
Okay, the ones that's not messing around with it or not being bothered is they're disconnecting from the mother, not the child.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the first thing. But I know, but you keep saying abandonment, like, and you're not the only one to do this, but I hear this all the time. These men abandoning kids, they abandoning kids. When Kamaya knows the data, she just looked up, the data is 72%, which correlates with the 70% of women who initiate divorce. So that also makes sense. And 90% of those 70% of women are the so-called educated women who are also leaving, or the same women that's painting this narrative about picking kids and not having husbands and independent women. All of it is some bull. And at the end of the day, I know, right, I understand what you're saying, but we got to speak to the whole. Like, we can only hold women accountable, and the men are going to have to hold the men accountable. We cannot hold men accountable. It's just not going to work. We have to hold. Well, I'm saying if we're going to address some things, we can only address. We need to hold women accountable. We need to take care of our fashion, our section of this community, and let the men handle their part of the community. If we are following real leaders, real men, then we will trust that they are teaching the other men the correct thing to do and create a more good sons and daughters for our future kids to marry each other. So that's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry, Black T. I'm not denying what you guys are saying to say that this is happening more. That was never my premise. Oh, we have more deadbeat or absent or selfish fathers than we do mothers or anything. I'm saying if we can say that it's this percentage, okay, we can talk about it. It's the highest percentage, but we still have a percentage over here. Here's another reason. But if you all are saying
the
minority is not the majority.
I don't know no deadbeat.
Why you put more attention on
I'm not against talking about a majority of problem. I'm just a person that I don't leave no crumbs behind. We're holding everything.
I'll put it like this: we gotta fix the majority before we can work on the minority. That's the issue. If the majority is saying this, then let's focus. Like some people like to say, why are we only focused on that? Because it's the majority. We need to correct the majority and then worry about the minority. The minority is over there. If we focus on the majority, that might even be able to even the playing field a little bit. We have to focus on the majority in pretty much every situation. Like, I don't know, and not just you, but a lot of people always say, like, why are we worried about just this percentage? If it's a higher percentage,
makes sense, right?
It sounds
correct.
good.
Correct.
I want world peace, but can I do it? No. Thank you, Brittany.
The reason why Darlene doesn't want us to focus on single moms who keep fathers away, who use the court system against men, who use the kids, who turn the kids against their fathers, who say the worst of things about the fathers in front of the kids, the reason she doesn't want us to do that is because it actually holds women accountable. And let me guess, when was the last time women wanted to be held accountable? Maybe in 1922? Yeah, First World War or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So that's why she's trying to focus on the few deadbeat dads, on the few men who don't want to be fathers, right? That's the small percentage. Even then, those guys are held accountable. The system holds them accountable. They're either going to be in jail, you're going to lose your license, you're going to get your wages garnished by the system. If a woman puts you on child support and you refuse to pay, the state will take the money away from you. If you got no job, you're probably going to be in jail. Either way, if you don't pay, that money is always going to stay. That debt is always going to stay. So men are always going to be held accountable, right? But who holds women accountable when they refuse the fathers to see their kids? Nobody. Who holds women accountable if the man has all the kids 100% of the time and she never pays child support? Nobody. Who holds women accountable who say the worst of things about their fathers to the kids? Nobody. Who holds women accountable if they lie to the man that he's the father but he's never the father? Nobody.
And this is super accurate.
One mic.
I want world.
Oh, sorry.
I want world peace, but I can't be Captain Planet. It sounds good and all. Ain't nothing we can do. It's nothing we can do. Which I feel that let them all die and burn and go to hell. Just let the culture burn. Just let the culture burn. It's nothing look, I love black culture, but it's nothing we can do to fix black culture.
Listen,
all they want is the work. We can't fix all this BS. I hope they die and I hope they burn in hell.
Okay,
listen. When it comes to majority minority, when you think about it, if there's a flood in your kitchen going on, but you also have some spilled milk on the other side, which one you gonna tend to first?
Yeah, you gonna clean up the spill, but you ain't gonna walk past the milk. That's all I'm saying.
You ain't got no water to
flood. No, if there's a flood, an actual flood going on in your kitchen, I'm gonna deal with the majority, the big ass thing that's going on. This is my focus. We can get to the spilled milk after we fix this big old flood that's going on right here. I'm not worried about the spilled milk. I'm worried about the flood.
But that was my premise. It's that once we clean up the water, we walk past the milk. That's all my.
That wasn't your premise. You just kept focusing on the spilled milk, which is the minority, and you just kept every time she brought up the numbers of the custody battles in the court system. Every time she talked about how minority of men don't only a minority of men, leave their kids alone and don't want to become deadbeats. You kept going back to the fact that men are deadbeats. Let's not men don't show up to court. Why should a man have to show up to court to fight for his kids? Like, in what world does that make sense? So I have to fight to see my own kids, but when it comes to child support, you want me to just pay money just like that?
argument was.
Nobody's walking past the milk. What we trying to get y'all to do is stop going to the milk first and get to the flood first. That's it. Y'all want to talk about the milk. Look, the milk is right there. Look, the milk is on the floor. Baby, get the flood.
I don't think that was it. I don't think that was it. Clean up the small mess first before you get to the big one. I think the whole point is just because the mess is bigger and you tend to that one first, obviously, that just because that's a small problem, we don't have to worry about it. That's all I'm saying. Get the rag.
It's not that we don't have to worry about it. It's that we can't focus on it right now until we correct the bigger problem. It'll still be there. It'll still be there to get worked on when it's its time. Like it's not its time right now because it's the minority. Minority. The majority is what we have to all put in effort to fixing first.
Yeah,
man, it don't matter
first or what comes second. It was just about making sure you get everything. It's not about what's first or second. That wasn't my premise. My premise was make sure you clean up all the mess. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Hold on. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave it alone. It doesn't matter which one we save. We don't have the tools to fix either one. So what's the point?
I think
that's true. I agree with mindsets like Darlene over here. There's nothing you're gonna fix, right? Because she cannot listen to men, and she cannot listen to other women. Literally, this woman has been cooking at our entire panel, bringing out the numbers, looking at the statistics, and she refused to listen. So I want you guys to tell me, for the majority of women you come across, do they have a mindset like Amaya's or a mindset like Darlene, or is being loud and never taking accountability? Comment down below. Comment down below which one is the majority of women that you find out here. Anyway, shout out to Anton Daniels, link down below.